Hello, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Is this thing on? YouTubers, I'm ready for my close-up. What's up, YouTubers? It's your boy Red Crimson 102, the hardcore gamer. I checked out this video recently from the brother, the gamer 23. He did an excellent video. I love that video. I agree with everything he said in that video, and I also wanted to do my take and piggyback off of what he talked about in this video, which is the state of Microsoft in 2023. Where is Xbox sitting at in 2023 and where they're headed? Listen, man. Microsoft made a name for themselves with the original Xbox. It was a uphill battle for them because they were going up against the juggernaut Sony and Nintendo. They were the newcomers in the industry, so they had to do something different and they had to come big to attract gamers. And a lot of people was hating on the original Xbox because they were so used to PS2, so they was like pushing off Xbox to the side. But little did they know, Microsoft had a big momentum behind them, a big push into the gaming space. And if you guys actually watch the Xbox documentary, that was an interesting watch, and that also made me look at Microsoft in a different light, because if you watch that video, Microsoft showed us that, especially Bill Gates, that gaming was for children. They did not take gaming seriously, and they were like against gaming. Xbox was born because of several employees within Microsoft that had a passion for gaming, that grew up on grew up on Nintendo, loved Nintendo. Microsoft actually loves Nintendo. I mean, they've been in bed with Nintendo for the past couple of years now, especially during the Xbox One S era leading up to now. But I'll get into that a little bit later. So they were consistent. Microsoft had a handful of passionate gamers within the company, and they would secretly try to make their own system, and they brought it to Bill Gates. Bill Gates wasn't taking them seriously, and they was even competing within themselves in the company. When they finally got a little bit of attention from Bill Gates, they had the Windows department, and you had the handful of passionate gamers within Microsoft I was telling you guys about. It was competing. It just so happens that the passionate gamers actually made a box that impressed Bill Gates, where you just press the button and the Xbox will start up quick, fast. And we all know back in the days the computer took a good minute to boot up and whatnot. But Bill Gates was so impressed with how fast the original Xbox prototype booted up. He said, okay, you know what? Going ahead with the project. And they went ahead with the project. So what I'm trying to tell you is Microsoft was never passionate about gaming to begin with. It was just those passionate handful of gamers that was working within Microsoft is what actually sparked Xbox as a whole. And we all know the story about the original Xbox, so I just want to give you a brief synopsis of how Xbox was actually born. But the most important factor that you need to remember is Microsoft hated video games. They were never about video games, and we can see that today, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. You have to understand, Nintendo and Sony are dedicated to video games. They started out in the 90s, and that's the best time to start out, where there was no DLC. Like these young minds were passionate about gaming, creation, the artwork, the music in the game. I mean, they just knocked it out of the park when it came to everything. Fun factor, everything. Originality, everything. Remember, guys, the origins of anything is always going to be the best. That's when you perform the best, when your first initial start. Now, we all know the original Xbox made a name for itself in the industry. The original Xbox was a dope system. I preferred it over the PS2. Hell, I even prefer the GameCube over the PS2. The Xbox, man, they came in and they revolutionized gaming. I mean, they were the first to actually come out with a gaming console that had a computer hard drive within it where you can save data. There were no need for memory cards, even though they had memory cards where you can copy the save data and bring it to your friend's house without bringing the whole console to your friend's house. They were so revolutionary, man. Then they had an Xbox Live, which didn't really take off until the 360. But the thing is, the original Xbox was the prototype of what they were trying to do, and 360 fulfilled really what they were trying to do. And then, Microsoft started building from there on up. Now, the 360 is where they got everything right. The original Xbox was the blueprint for the 360. They did what they were trying to accomplish, and they were also trying to fit Windows into a console from the original Xbox. 360, I don't know if that runs off a form of Windows. It probably do, I'm guessing, but the Xbox One and up is where they really got Windows to run on there, like how they wanted it to. It may not be the full-fledged Windows like on PC, but close enough to what they needed to do. Now, everybody in the world knows that the 360 was Microsoft's best console. That was a hell of a console. And even the Sony haters actually went out and bought an Xbox 360, whether in secrecy or they admitted it. If you look at the sales on the 360, I think I may be off, but I know I'm somewhere around that ballpark. I believe they sold 84, 85 million, something like that. Maybe 83, anywhere from 83 to 85 million. And the PS3 sold them by, I don't know, maybe like 3 million, if that, at the end of its tail life cycle in that generation. So the numbers prove that 360 was a force to reckon with. Microsoft was a force to reckon with, and it was a threat to Sony because 360, they threw everything at Sony, and not to mention they did a lot of things right, and they also came with a lot of exclusives. You remember the Xbox Live? Man, that was so revolutionary, man. And I remember reading the, I don't remember if it was GamePro magazine where they explained about, they were showing you what the system could do before it came out. In 2005, I remember this. And it showed achievements. Microsoft brought achievements to the industry, which every company except Nintendo uses now. That was a revolutionary for its time. Achievement, it gave the game replay value, all games. So they graced us with that. That's a phenomenal thing. Then the online game, even though online been around a long time, even for consoles, even in the Nintendo era, Microsoft pushed it to be mainstream. So I'll give them that with the online, which is still being used to that. Also, I think the 360 online is better than the online we have now for the newer Xbox consoles. The Xbox Live just isn't the same, because I remember, Xbox Live on 360, you could hear everybody talking. That was cool. Now nobody talks. You only could just really talk to your friends or people who you invite, or people invite you. Online, it's not the same as it used to be. It sucks now, really, to be honest with you. People got it out of their system now. Nobody's really pressed over online anymore. And they started the whole indies thing now. Microsoft, they reached out to the indie developers, the smaller developers, to make all these prototype games for their system, and the indie scene really took off, and it's still booming today. And in all actuality, we all already know the indie space, they make a lot more interesting and creative games and better games than a lot of these AAA studios. A lot of these indie studios, man, they make games that are fun and you can always go back to and play. And those indie developers, man, I can tell they have a passion for gaming, and also from the NES, SNES era, because all these pixelated art games that they're making, it has a style of Super Nintendo, and PS1 from that era. And those were some of the best gaming generations we had. Like the 90s gaming was like some of the best we ever had. I actually think it's the best, to be honest with you. And that's part of the reason why Nintendo themselves are doing well right now, because Nintendo knows what the essence of gaming is. and they have kept that throughout the whole system. But see, it was a transitioning period happening at the time. You have to understand what Nintendo fell off, and people favor the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, and whatnot. That era was changing because, Nintendo gamers, we all started growing up, becoming teenagers and adults, and started, looking to more mature games, cinematic games, movie-like games, and bigger storylines, and it makes sense. So, I also credit Sony as well, but everybody learned from Nintendo. Where did Sony learn their tactics, the exclusive tactics, those dirty tactics? They learned that from Nintendo. You know what I'm saying? Exclusive games, first party studios, they learned all that from Nintendo. So Microsoft and Sony owes everything to Nintendo. And I know a lot of people hate Nintendo right now because Nintendo's winning. Nintendo is smashing everybody's favorite console. So if you're a Sony fan, an Xbox fan, you're likely going to be mad at Nintendo because they're doing their thing with the Switch. And all that talk of the Switch's hardware is weak and Intel always uses weak hardware is pretty much a scapegoat. There is some truth to it, but there's a reason why they do that. But at the end of the day, people complain about Nintendo using weak hardware, but they go out and buy the system. If you look at Nintendo Switch, man, it has been the best selling system for the past 5 years, going on 6. That's like winning the championship 6 years in a row. Come on now, that's crazy. You understand what I'm saying? You have to give Nintendo their flowers, man. Regardless of how you feel about them. Facts are just facts. I'm not an opinionated person. I'm just keeping it real. But back to Xbox, the 360 era is where they did everything right. The achievements, the indie games, the indie developers, the online was phenomenal. The dashboard was phenomenal. And they had the updates that changed the dashboard. I remember back in the days in the 360 era where, we would get wind of Microsoft and a new update for a new dashboard, and everybody would be so excited. They'd run home and update it just to see what it looked like, or even go on the internet and see what it looked like. And they had the Halo commercials, those movie commercials. They had the bundle commercials for the consoles, different bundles. They had a faceplate you can change for the 360. That was really on their thing. But see, the original Xbox and 360 was only great because those passionate gamers that was in Microsoft, what I was telling you about, were still there. So they were behind the helm of the success of the 360. So they made all the right moves, even as far as advertisement, man. Like, you barely see a Sony commercial. It's always an Xbox 360 commercial showing, the latest games is available on their systems, the best played on their system. They did everything right. They perfected the controller. To this day, I still think Xbox has the best controller, hands down. Everybody mimics their control pattern. Everybody, even Nintendo, the style of it, the analog placement. It fits your hands perfectly. I give them that. Even though Sony stepped it up with a PS5 controller, I think the PS5 controller is great. I wouldn't say feature-wise it's better than the Xbox controller, yes, but overall, painting a bigger picture, I still think Xbox has hands down the best controller, the most comfortable controller. But Sony did their thing with the PS5 controller, though. So what else? So everybody loved 360 in that era. They had all the games, all the exclusive games. Gears of War, all of Microsoft first party titles work better on the 360. Gears of War on 360, Halo on 360 is a lot better than the Gears and Halo that we have been getting for the past couple of years. Ever since what's that guy, Cliffy B left, and Epic had nothing to do with Gears of War anymore. Gears of War just fell flat. And I'm a huge Gears of War fan, one of the biggest. And if you look at the numbers, man, Gears of War 4 didn't do well, 5 didn't do well. Like, it just lost its flair, man. Like, it's just not the same. Do the series suck now? It doesn't. But it's not the same. Because I remember in the 360 era, man, it was so great. Gears was so great then. Like, I've beaten Gears games 1, 2, and 3 like several times, and it never used to get boring to me, man, because everything was just so perfect about that game. But that magic is gone. It's not the same anymore. It fell off. The people behind Xbox that made them great, behind the games, they just aren't there anymore. Right now, Microsoft and Xbox is replaced by a whole bunch of guys in suits that hate gaming, they don't care about gaming, and just cashing in off of the gaming wave, because gaming is bigger than it ever was. Even though I think gaming has significantly took a step backwards, it's still thriving a lot because the newer generation kids don't know better. You know, they're just born into this era. Oh, everything has to be open world. Everything has to be open. You have to game with your friends. If you can't game with your friends online, then there's no fun. There's no fun. There's no gaming at all. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not what gaming was always about. Like, single player games, to me, are still the best games out there because you can enjoy it offline in your own time, in your own world, in your own time and space, and at your own pace, versus you have to wait until your friends are online to enjoy gaming. But see, that's all PR stunt, man. Gaming is not the same as it used to be. It's too commercial now. But, you know, these kids, they don't think about that. You know, they're just born into this era and it's like whatever. They want to play what their friends are playing. They want to play Fortnite. They want to play whatever. All these little Me Too games. All the games are the same nowadays. And the gaming space is not creative anymore. The only companies that are making creative games are the indie companies, like I said. And they're making those Nintendo, SNES, 32-bit era type games, which were the best. That's why games like Hollow Knight, all these indie games, people get excited for these indie games. They're putting in better work and more creativity than these AAA companies. And I wish some of these AAA companies would actually take note and just back some of these guys and like make their game even better. But it is what it is. And you know, so another thing to talk about, you know, my brother, the Gamer 2323, you know, he said one thing I disagree with. He said that, you know, Microsoft isn't getting no pressure from Nintendo, neither Sony. That's a lie. The Switch has had the most sold hardware and software with weak hardware, outdated hardware for 6 years now in a row. Outselling the PS5, the more powerful consoles, 4K, at 120, 60 FPS, whatever. They are feeling pressure because if I'm dumping millions of dollars into a console that has 4K with all this RTX graphics, right? And they don't make money off of the console. They take big losses off consoles anyway. But you got this guy over here, which is Nintendo, selling weak hardware and making big profits off of that weak hardware and outselling your console, those 4K consoles and software. I have questions. So I have to look at myself like, yo, what am I doing wrong? I made a 4K system, 120 FPS, best graphics, but this little guy over here is beating me. Yo, they are feeling pressure from Nintendo, whether they want to admit it or not. And they have admitted it in not so many words if you look at it. And Microsoft has been in bed with Nintendo for years now. Microsoft knows that Nintendo, you know, as a legacy company, they can't beat them, and those are the only guys that can actually give Sony a run for their money and challenge Nintendo. Like right now, Nintendo is Microsoft's savior, and Microsoft actually signed a 10-year deal to put Call of Duty on Nintendo platforms going forward. Now, the haters out there might say, oh, well, then I can't see Call of Duty running on the Switch or anything that Nintendo come out because they're also going to use outdated hardware. It doesn't take a powerful console to run Call of Duty because Call of Duty, honestly, man, for the past couple of years, man, been running on the old ass Unreal Engine, and all the games look the same. It doesn't take much to put Call of Duty on the Switch. They could put Black Ops 1, 2 on the Switch. You know what I'm saying? Any Call of Duty for that matter, even the old ones from 360 era, and it will do good. And you know, they got the cloud. They can put a new Call of Duty in there through the cloud. Hey, and people will probably eat it up. I mean, I'm not into the cloud stuff. I like the physical cartridge and all that. But best believe, if they sign that deal with Microsoft to make Call of Duty on a Nintendo platform for 10 years, you best believe Nintendo's next system is going to be powerful. It's going to be a 4K system. It doesn't have to be as powerful as the competition, but powerful enough to run those games. And that's all it needs to do. Because Nintendo will come out a new system, and it can play, as long as it can play all these newer titles that's coming out on PS5 and 60 FPS, yo, they're good. It doesn't have to be 120 FPS, because not all games are 120 FPS. And even though Sony and Microsoft market their system as 120 FPS, most of their games don't even hit 120 F or at 120 20 FPS at all. It's all a marketing ploy, to be honest with you, man. What's the difference between the Series X, the Xbox One X, and the past couple of platforms Microsoft has made? It's all the same. If you look at it, Sony and Xbox, they make the same old system, man. Come on, man. Like the Xbox One X, was supposed to be it's 4K at 60 for some games, right? But a lot of games are only 1440p, 1600p, like weird resolutions. And right now with the PS5 and Series X, those games are still having weird resolutions. I mean, come on, man. We're on the Series X and PS5, and games are still struggling to hit 4K at 60. You're still doing 4K at 30 or 1440p. Dynamic 4K at 60. Dynamic 4K, 1440p at 30 FPS. Come on, man. You got the Xbox Series S still running as at 1080p, 60 FPS. I was doing that on the Xbox One X several years ago. So what's the difference? The only difference is the games look a teeny bit better, but the art style never changed. The games never got more fun. Now you have this nasty DRM where your system has to be online to play your games. You can even play your games offline. That's retarded. So I mean, gaming is just crap right now, to be honest with you, man. That Xbox is trash. Xbox has been a dime brand for the past couple of years, man. Their best years is behind them. And Xbox will never get back good until they get like true gamers that's passionate about gaming back into the Xbox division and get rid of these suit-wearing guys that only care about money and is cashing on the wave of gaming right now. That's just a natural fact. And I like how, the brother gamer 2323 was laughing. If you notice in this video, he kept on laughing, right? Because it is funny, because Microsoft has 28 first-party studios. They bought some studios and they opened up new studios the past couple years ago, 5 years ago, and they still haven't made one game. How you have 28 studios and you haven't made not even one game? What happened to Fable? You know what I'm saying? You can put some of these new studios on Gears, or give them, come up with fresh ideas for newer games, newer titles. Stop making these Me Too games, these open world games, these Fortnite-like game. Come on, man. Like, what happened to the first-player games with a storyline you can play offline? That's crazy. Xbox is a dime brand, man. And he also spoke about Game Pass. And Game Pass may seem like a good idea. It is and it isn't. You know what I'm saying? Game Pass reminds me of like Netflix. You can't own the movies. You pay a subscription. You can't play the games. Which you fall back into that same pit of not being able to play your game. It's retarded. It sounds good. But the thing I want to know is how much Microsoft is actually paying these developers to put their games on Game Pass. Because I think the developers are actually better off selling the games on their own and getting their own bag, a 100% profit, or majority of the profit, than letting Microsoft handle it and put their games on Game Pass and they sell it from Game Pass. How does that work? And Microsoft went from a $2 trillion company, now they're a couple $1 billion company. I'm like, damn, the Xbox division is costing them. So if I was a developer, I wouldn't put my game on Game Pass because I'm not going to get that bag. If I can sell 5 million, 2 million copies on my own, why give it to Game Pass? And Microsoft is giving me whatever they want to give me. Like, you understand what I'm saying? They're stifling their own potential. I can understand for the indie games that they give the indie developers a bag and they run with it. Yeah, but even the indie developers can actually sell millions of copies on their own. You understand what I'm saying? So Microsoft is feeling pressure from Nintendo, even Sony. Come on, Sony games don't sell as much as Nintendo games. Come on, man, you serious right now? Nintendo games hold their value forever. Go on eBay or wherever, Amazon, wherever, man, and look how much those GameCube games are going for. Any Nintendo games are going for. Then look at how much Xbox and PlayStation games are going for. Nothing. $20, $30, whatever, man. Like, are you serious? They feeling pressure from Nintendo. They might not admit it, but Microsoft put their games on the Switch. They put Ori, the Will of Wisp, and Ori and the Blind Forest on the Switch. It did better on the Switch than it did on the Xbox platform. So shit, if they put Gears of War and Forza on a Nintendo system, it'll probably sell more on Nintendo system than it would on an Xbox. So all Nintendo has to do now is make their next console, they more powerful console, and it's a wrap. And they are gonna do that because there's a lot of haters out there thinking Nintendo's not gonna make another powerful console. Some people actually think that the Nintendo's next system is not gonna be more powerful than the Switch. That doesn't make any sense. So if the Switch is running out there, the hardware, and Nintendo's coming up with the next generation platform, how is it gonna be weaker than the Switch? That doesn't make any sense. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a PS5 level. As long as those games can run PS5 games in 60 FPS, they're good. Look at the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is nowhere on the level of PS5 or Series X. It could run those games, but if you look at it, it struggles to run those games too, and a lot of fans don't want to admit that. The Steam Deck is in the same situation as the Switch. Not sales-wise, but as far as like technology-wise, because when you have a handheld, there's only so much a handheld can do. The Steam Deck is not some powerful handheld either because it struggles just like the Switch. It plays games at lower resolution just like it drops frame rate just like the Switch. Some textures are missing just like the Switch. You know what I'm saying? And going forward, when developers start taking more advantage of the Series X and PS5 hardware, the Steam Deck is going to struggle just like the Switch. 30 FPS games, 720p, turning settings down, all that stuff is annoying, man. Nintendo knows what they're doing, man. Trust me on that. And whoever thinks Nintendo's next platform is not going to be 4K, is not going to be powerful, are sadly mistaken and they hate it. If Nintendo ever comes out with a 4K console or a handheld, it's a wrap for Sony. It's a wrap. I'm not even going to count Microsoft. Microsoft been out of the game for a long time. 360 was their torch years. So I don't even count Microsoft as competition. They've been done. Nobody plays Xbox anymore. If you look at the sales of Xbox, ain't nobody buying that crap. I go into the store, I see Xbox Series S is sitting there. No people walking past it. So there you go. Look at the numbers, man. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. And that's the reason why Microsoft is last in the console space, because they are anti-gamers. With a nasty DRM, they have no games, 28 studios that can't even make one game, no exclusive games. And they kill series and they kill franchises. If you want your franchise to die, your favorite game franchise to die, give it to Microsoft. They kill it. They killed off Gears. They killed off Halo. They killed off Fable. They closed Lionhead Studios down years ago, which was a good studio. Like, I don't even know why they're here in the gaming space. Like, then Xbox is like the new Sega. And actually, I can't even say that because the only thing Sega didn't have was structure. But Sega had great ideas and they had excellent games. Microsoft has no structure and they have no games. They're just there. If Microsoft wasn't a rich company, they would have been bankrupt right now, out of business. The only that's keeping Xbox division alive is Big Brother, Microsoft company. Microsoft just feeding them money. They're actually wasting their money. To be honest with you, man, I'd rather see Xbox just go away or just be third party. Put Game Pass on PlayStation, Nintendo system. Just be third party and just call it a day. Just like Sega. Just give it up. Throw in the towel. There's no shame because they're not changing their structure. They're not hiring people that actually are passionate about gaming, who want to make great games. It's not about the money. You shouldn't make it about the money. It's making it about the passion for gamers. And the gamers will take care of you. It always has been like that. Nintendo is winning right now. They're the number one to me. They're the most software sold. Highest hardware sold year after year. They're running out of people to sell the Switch. The Switch is at what, 117 million now? You know, if they keep it up a year, 2 more years, they're outselling PS2. And can they do it? Yeah, they can. And I think if they had a Switch Pro, that would have given more legs. But, you know, Nintendo said, you know, they're going to skip the Pro and just go into the next generation. I guess I'm cool with that, man. For them to, I want to see what system they're gonna come out with that's better than the Switch, because the Switch is, you know, people were happy with the Switch. It's just one of the more powerful Switch. I get it, but Nintendo knows what they're doing. So I haven't even been excited for these new platforms at all. Like, it didn't get me excited for anything. So the PS5 and Series X are my last console, so I'm going forward. I'm only supporting Nintendo. Whenever Nintendo comes with a new console, I'm getting them. I'm done with buying PlayStation and Xbox. It's all the same. Same games, same graphics. Everything is the same. Same. Nintendo's the only company that's still giving us something new, something fresh. You know, I trust them over the competition all day, any day. But yeah, so just to summarize everything, guys, that's why Xbox is a commercial failure and will continue to do so, and continue to bleed Microsoft Corporation dry of money going down the drain, is because they have no structure. All the passionate gamers that used to be with Microsoft back in the 360 era and the original Xbox era are gone and just being replaced by these money hungry guys that's wearing these wearing suits. That's pretty much what it is, and this is what it is. Yeah, that's all I gotta say, man. This video was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, man. You know, but I guess I'm just trying to get my point across. Like and subscribe, Red Premise 102 and if you guys, man, have anything you like to add or dispute or challenge me on, or just your thoughts, not even challenging me, but just your thoughts, your opinions, you know, you can always leave it down in the comment section, man, all day, every day, man. I'm all ears, you know what I'm saying? But I'm really disappointed with Xbox, man. I remember when Xbox was great, man. OG Xbox, the 360, man. Oh my God, I still love the 360, man. And the only reason why I bought a Series X is because you can play all those old legacy titles on the Series X with better frame rates and better graphics. At least sometimes, not all the time, because Microsoft gets you on it. They have this few select games where, you know, the older games will see a boost in graphics and performance, and I don't like that, man. It's kind of like false advertisement. But I am glad that you can play the old games on there, even if they don't get a graphical boost. Because I mean, who wants to go and dig up in their basement in that, you know, that dark, dank spot in that box, dust it off and hook it up to the TV. You know what I'm saying? That's doing a lot. So I kind of like how they did it. That's the only reason why. But if the Series X wasn't backwards compatible, I wouldn't bought that trash, man, because it launched with no games. Who launches a system with no games? That Xbox only sold a little. The Series X only sold a little bit because, you know, off a high. It's a new best thing. People are like, come on, man. If you're a tech head, you like the new best thing. I like the new best thing. You know what I'm saying? You just bought that system off a high. You want to get an Xbox Series X just to say you got one. I mean, keep it real. Because what games are you really playing on your Xbox Series X that you wouldn't play or can't even play on your old Xbox? You see what I'm saying? Microsoft has been a huge disappointment, man. Huge disappointment. If they don't change their ways and don't get like true gamers, true passionate gamers in their back in their division and stop making about the money, they're never gonna go anywhere. They could make an Xbox Series A, B, Z. That shit don't matter, man. And the names are stupid too. They need to drop their name, man. They need new leadership. But that's about it, man. Like and subscribe, man. And I'll see y'all in the comment section. Sorry for this video being so long. I might even just do a second one where it's shorter. Peace.